fellow travelers, and welcome to another episode of the Versus Stars podcast third season. How my loyal listeners, thank you for tuning support. This is an amazing episode because Aaron Wroblewski boards the mothership to discuss Blood and Fire from Red 5 Comics. Now come aboard as we go traversing the stars. Hi, Aaron. Thank you so much for coming to the Versus Stars podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Totally my pleasure. So I always start with a question of inspiration. So what inspired your love for comics and who your earliest influences?
Uh, Comics wise, I've been actually kind of dealing with more indie like Kickstarter stuff that I've kind of found. I didn't actually get into comics until quite late, primarily from making my own. So really, it's kind of been TV, animated stuff, anime, like um, like Ninja Scroll, Akira, Studio Ghibli have been big influence on me. But comic wise, I'm kind of sticking a lot with indie stuff. Like I said, all the Kickstarter friends have
Yeah.
been amazing.
So as someone who just completed their own Kickstarter campaign not too long ago, a few weeks ago, successfully. Yay. Um, how do you find? You said you make a lot of friends with Kickstarter friends of that nature. What do you find the value is of Kickstarter, and how are you seeing which kind of comics are becoming the most successful on Kickstarter?
Yeah, the creators of Kickstarter have been very close friends. They've been I always get advice from them, vice versa. I'm in various Facebook groups with them. Um, Kickstarter, I think the most successful Kickstarters in comic wise are the kind of adult themed with
Yeah,
sex and everything, sex sells. I've kind of stayed away from that and I do have a bit of sex in the new Ice and Bone, which is the sequel to Blood and Fire,
yeah.
but it's kind of more tasteful in the storyline. But it's Kickstarter is a very strange beast. You could have an amazing $10,000 Kickstarter. You can do the next issue and get three. And
Yeah.
it's very strange. I mean, people are using their hard-earned cash to back your comic and whatever you're creating. So it is, sometimes you'll hit it, sometimes you don't. I mean, Blood and Fire didn't fund the first issue.
Hmm.
I came back, with a better, more structured campaign, and it really kicked off. Blood and Fire 3 was my biggest Kickstarter to date with like over $5,000. So yeah, it's I couldn't be here without it though. I mean, I can't knock it. I have bills to pay. A full-time employment.
But
I can't make these comics without the backers.
so you're now the writer of Blood and Fire from Red 5 Comics. So what inspired the creation of the series, and how much research went into creating the world of the story?
It kind of came about very randomly, to be honest, by accident. Because I do another series called Enenra, which is a post-apocalyptic horror, and the artist in that is a really good friend. And he posted on his Instagram this samurai image, and it was really kick-ass. And I just commented like it, awesome character, be great as a comic. And he goes, "Well, write one." I went, "Okay, I will." So I kind of started dabbling about what kind of what time frame. I wanted the Japan to be in chaos, and like the late 16th century kind of fitted that bill pretty well. And then I just kind of the characters kind of, I know the cliche that wrote itself, but it did. I did a little bit of research, but not too much because I was kind of going into the supernatural elements towards the end of the series. I did more research for its sequel, Ice and Bone, which is kind of in its process with Kickstarter, just finished issue one. So that I did a lot more research because I wanted some background myths of the local areas. But yeah, it did. The first season did kind of write itself. It was very, very fortunate for me.
So we talk about doing research. It can be a few things. You're talking about research just as understanding the culture, the look, the societal background you talk about, or is there an historical element to the characters themselves that you research? So, what elements of the research did you focus on most, and how accurate is it from a historical perspective?
The most I kind of the look, so the feel of the era, and Japan and in like the 16th century. Like if you've watched Shogun, it's a great series. I mean, the acting's phenomenal, writing's great, but it's the visuals, the details matter, and a lot of I tried to make it as authentic as I could, with obviously with the artist's input. Um, that's probably as far as I got with the research in season one. Because like I said, I wasn't even thinking of writing season two.
Yeah.
That kind of just fell into it. It was going to be a standalone three issue storyline, and that was it. So yeah, that's kind of the deepest part of the research I did, was kind of making it look authentic with the the buildings, the clothing, and the weapons.
So, another aspect is obviously finding the voice of the character. 16th century Japan obviously is from a much different world than you are. How did you approach finding the voice for your protagonist?
I kind of just kind of winged that, to be honest, because I was kind of more going towards a Western audience anyway.
Hmm.
So I didn't really feel that the need to be so authentic in how they spoke. And I think, especially with comics, you have certain stills, and then the reader fills in the gaps. So if they're already into samurai kind of genre with with series online, on TV, they kind of fill in the blanks and set the scenes themselves in
Hmm.
that kind of respect. So that's why I kind of love comics, because the reader actually helps you
Hmm.
making the comic great.
So the artist is Ezekiel Lancho.
Yes.
All right, so I got it right. Okay, hey,
Yeah.
points for
Yeah.
me. So some images that I've seen from the comic book, it looks fantastic. It's very gritty looking as well.
Yes.
So that kind of gives a very harsh reality to the world that you
Yeah.
created. In creating the visual language, what was some of those conversations like that helped develop that language for the comic book?
The visuals were purely really Ezekiel, because like I says, he did an Enra before, so I knew his style, and I think his style fit this perfectly with how he brings the kind of, I would say, streamlined chaos almost, especially with the action. And I wanted it to be kind of not grayscale, but kind of off tints grayscale,
Hmm.
and the only color you'd see is the blood, which kind of pops really well
Yeah.
when you see it in the background. So that kind of just fit together with his art style and the way he kind of color palettes each series, and the use of like the red for the blood as well. It's I'm very proud of how it turned out.
Like I said, it's a beautiful looking comic book. I looked, I haven't the issue isn't out yet, but it's being published by Red Five.
Yes.
Which I found kind of interesting. Because Red Five, my memory of Red Five is Atomic Robo, and kind of like more like humorous comic books. So how did they react to something that is definitely more hardcore than some
Uh,
titles?
yeah, they kind of reached out to me right out of the blue, because I was doing the Enenra series on Kickstarter. They
Yeah.
really love it, and they messaged me, "Do you have anyone to publish this?" And I went, "Unfortunately, I do." But I have this other series I'm going to be launching soon, so I sent them the script. No artwork at all, but I said the same artist from Enenra is doing this. Straight away, they signed it up.
Oh, nice. I don't think
Yeah,
I've ever been chased by a publisher before, so congratulations.
yeah. Thank you. I was very shocked too. So
It-
yeah,
that's a nice little
that
ego boost.
was fun.
That's a nice little ego boost.
Yes, yes, definitely. Very, very egotistic boost.
So how long did you strut around for after and go, yeah, I got posters chasing me?
Uh, Actually, to be honest, I think you're the first person I've told.
Oh, wow, okay. We have an
Yes.
exclusive.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've said it because no one's actually asked.
Yeah.
how did you get the publisher? So I don't think anyone's actually asked that question.
Right now, every Kickstarter creator is now running to their emails on their Kickstarter, going, "Did anyone check with me? Did anyone is anyone chasing me?"
Yeah. I mean, there's so many great Kickstarter comics out there. I'm surprised more, publishers aren't messaging. Have you got anyone publishing your comic?
It's quite the jungle though, Kickstarter. So it's probably it's like trying to maybe look for one particular shrub in a forest of
Yeah.
plants and stuff. But hey, congratulations on that.
Thank you much.
So, my understanding of the story summary, it stated that the central government loses control of the country. So when we think about the central government and that it loses control, was it due to being inept? Was it due to corruption? Was it due to just outside forces? What brought it along?
It's like internal forces. So the emperor, dies. The central government basically loses power almost overnight, and like the whole country goes like chaos, like warlords, shoguns, they all kick off, and then there's chaos everywhere. So it kind of picks up from that perspective, and there's three brothers. One is seriously ill, and the second brother is going to be like taking control, but the younger brother is, very ambitious. He's been twisted into like hating his brothers, and he wants to take control. And so when they all go to the eldest like deathbed, like they're betrayed, all hell breaks loose, and it follows Nakaki, who's the main character, as he kind of tries to get back to his village to save his wife and daughter. Because at the start you do see him as a family man.
Hmm.
I wanted to emphasize that he loves his wife, his daughter. So I kind of wanted to make it a bit more, you know, powerful when, the shit hits the fan.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about was going to talk about Central Alliance government, how much backstory do you go into like how things led to that point? How much politics exists within the series?
Because there's just a 3 issue, there isn't that much of a backstory to it. It kind of goes straight into where the brother is dying, and Nakaki's master is summoned to the castle, and that's where they're betrayed. So we get really quite into it really quickly with a lot of the fighting in issue 1 is pretty epic. Actually, there's quite a lot of backstory in Ice and Bone, which is the sequel
Hmm.
series I'm doing. You go back and see why this happened, and explains a lot of the backstory of the characters.
So also in Solicit, it discusses the idea of the lone samurai, as you mentioned, who the character is.
Mm.
Most samurai obviously are not lone, or unless they're like Ronin. Is he a Ronin? Why is he a lone samurai? What is motivating him to get this involved?
Well, he's a lone samurai because, at the end, well, towards the end of issue 1, um, he and his lord are betrayed, and the younger brother basically assassinates everybody. He's pretty much left for dead. But he manages to fight his way out, and he's on his own. He, travels back to his village to try and save who he can. Hopefully, his wife and daughter. And then basically he goes on a rampage of revenge. So I suppose he probably would be a Ronin because he couldn't protect his master.
Yeah.
And but I don't really mention him as a Ronin. He's still a samurai. He's still honored. He still honors his past. So he's basically just going for revenge for what happened to his life, really, his family.
Um, what is his goal? I mean, and without giving away spoilers, because we're gonna avoid spoilers. Um, for being a samurai, what happens if he wins? Is he someone who is going to claim power? Is he that kind of person? Is he someone who is no one to and he will give power up? Does he not have a vision beyond get my revenge?
Uh, I suppose that through the course of the tale, all he sees is revenge. but at the end there is a finite ending in like how he when he gets it. I don't want to spoil it too much. You just have to just have to read it.
The antagonist is a warlord who's seeking power in land. Is his goal solely power? Was there something specific about how the central government was running that he was against? And what is the relationship to the lone samurai?
Quixote is the main protagonist, bad guy, no, antagonist, sorry. Um, he has been jealous of his older brother, both of his older brothers, since day one. They always, they all got more than him, you know, young, small baby kind of syndrome. Um, so his relationship to the main character is very kind of offhanded because Nakaki is purely loyal to his master,
Hmm.
where Kyoton is basically hates the whole family. He just wants to take over. Um, and I don't want to go too much into it because it does explain it in Ice and Bone, where he he explains a lot of why he does what he does. So yeah, it explains it because I didn't have enough time because I kind of did the self 3 issues. I didn't really have enough space to do the backstory, which I kind of once I started writing the sequel, I wanted to put that in there. So
So when you're thinking about your antagonist, what's his name again? Sorry.
Quixote.
I'm just gonna say the antagonist. I think my
Oh,
Bill Constance is not
anta
good.
antagonist or
So is he inherent himself a fighter, or is he someone who pays others to fight for him? How likely is he to get into direct conflict with our hero?
he gets into direct conflict with the hero at the end of issue 3. So yeah, it kind of fights his way through the land and the army, and then he gets to the main fight at the end. So yeah, it's all kind of self-contained 3 issue storyline.
Is it hard when you were thinking about the plot, did you already have it set up for 3 issues? Did you already plot it out first, or is that when you were developing it, you kind of felt like this is my endpoint for the first
Yeah,
series?
yeah. Originally it was supposed to be 3 issues, and that was it, done. It was a short, action-packed, supernatural horror. Um, so that was it. And then once I finished it, I started getting another itch, and I couldn't help myself, and wanted to do a bit more. And I always thought there was more backstory, especially to the main character. Uh, and I kind of wanted to bring that forward as well. So it does dabble into the backstory of Kyotain, like I said, the main antagonist. So he gets more of a kind of a fulfilled backstory, um, in the sequel. So yeah, it was definitely designed to be 3 issues only, but I couldn't help myself.
Well, I get the horror aspect. Anytime you're dealing with obviously fighting and blood and stuff like that, there's horror. So can you fill me in on some of the supernatural aspect of the series?
Yeah, the when it's kind of hard to not spoil it. Obviously, when Nakaki goes back to his wife and kids, they are not good, and the spirits kind of start kind of helping him and infusing. That's where Blood and Fire comes through because it's like they tell him to do certain things to empower them and kind of bind them to him,
So,
which then help him fight as he goes through the story.
so apparently we're gonna have slightly into some spoiler issues. But so feel free to dance around. I'm gonna ask anyway. As he's being, I don't know if possessed the right word, or where he's saying he's being inhabited by these spirits. How does that impact him not only psychologically but physically?
Not really much physically. Uh, I mean, he's a pretty powerful samurai in the beginning. He's like a seasoned veteran. So he's got the skills. It's not like he's starting from scratch as a lonely rookie. So he's had the training, he's had the experience. Um, the added supernatural elements is more in the background, so they help him, you know, as he kind of goes into the various villages and castles, and they kind of fight in the background.
Like I say, it sounds. I really love the sound of the story. When you think also about the protagonist, I get that he's obviously the samurai, as you said. Um, because it's a civil war, he's fighting his countrymen, direct countrymen. How
Yeah.
does he feel about the killing of these countrymen, and are these people that he would know, or these other samurai that he would have interaction with, or these strangers that he just knows as villains? How deep into those relationships are you diving into?
Uh, well, most of them wouldn't be really known to him because they're in a different army with Kyotanes. So he all he sees is that they're responsible for the deaths of his family and the deaths of his lord and all his friends. His whole village has been wiped out. Um, so yeah, all he sees is red, really. Um, and he's very good at getting his revenge.
Like I said, it's a I find like the samurai absolutely fascinating as characters. Some of my favorite stories is Lone Wolf and Cub.
Mhm.
From what was it, First Comics, I think back in the day. I've been buying some of those comic books. I think they're fantastic. A little more cartoony though, but Usagi Yojimbo, I love a lot.
Yeah.
Because what fascinates you the most about their culture?
I just think it's like it's like very black and white. It's cut and dry. You got honor, you've got loyalty, and then you could do something that you think is right, but then you know you die for it,
Mm.
but you still do it anyway, knowing you're gonna die at the end of it. And it's very fascinating that they have a very strange, unique way of looking at life and death, and it's fascinating.
So how does that connect to our protagonist on the idea that he's fighting for a cause that he may not be around to complete? I doubt he knows for a fact he's going to survive the whole thing and kill all these guys. 'Cause I'm sure there's the numbers are probably stacked against him
Oh yeah.
pretty well. So what does he think about the idea that not only is he fighting uphill against this massive force, but whatever comes from it, he may not be around to appreciate or enjoy.
Yeah, he's not really thinking clearly, obviously, because he's going up against so many all the odds. But to me, he feels like when he gets his revenge, he can find peace and you know go and be with his family. I mean, he's not gonna care if he survives it or not. Um, but doing this, bringing honor back to his family and his village and his master. That's his end game.
Is he there's a thought that of potentially being the one who rules or being the one or what do they call it, a shogun, the one who
Yeah, no, he's no interest in ruling or being a shogun.
I mean that's kind of interesting. It kind of reminds me a little bit of I mean interesting of the hero who would step away after all that fighting and be like, hey, you do this. Is there in the story a character that he would hand over to and say, I trust you as being the one who's now in charge? Or is that not a thought in his head either?
No, there's no one really who's gonna like take over. Um, yeah, it's purely revenge driven. There wasn't really many pages I could fit in extra characters to take over.
Is this sort of like John Wick as a samurai?
Yes, yeah, without pencils.
Yeah, they use like a bamboo sheet at some point.
Yeah,
But I'm sorry, I'm just a fan of John Wick. I found the first film of John Wick so pure of a concept versus and the connection between the cast and the character because they both were completely focused, like
yeah,
single-mindedly focused on this one thing. I kind of feel like this is sort of like the story is going to be like this character is a single-minded focus, and the comic book has a single-minded focus.
yeah,
But, kind of like marries to this character.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, very focused. A lot of I always like the fact that John Wick does what he does because his his will is unbreakable. And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what Nakaki is. Very much kind of in line with that. I did love John Wick 4. It's kick ass.
That was an amazing action series on the whole. First
I'm
two,
still hoping they do number 5. I'm still hoping.
maybe if anyone gets to write after they read this, you'll be writing John Wick 5.
Hey, I'm one call away.
Check your email. Apparently, there's other people getting contacting you. Check your email. Maybe right now there's an email. Hey, we're the producers of John Wick. We just read your comic book. Can you
Yeah.
make our fifth
Chances
movie?
are I'll be like, yeah, delete. Yeah, that's some wind up.
That sounds like bullshit.
Yeah.
Poor Keanu Reeves is like, why did he delete my email?
Yeah. I'm legit.
But for those, so you said this was a series that was kickstarted before, right?
Uh, the first issue was didn't fund, but then I came back and the first 3 issues was funded, Blood and Fire. The first issue of Ice and Bone has been kickstarted and funded. So Ezekiel is currently, as we speak, drawing the pages for that. So once that's out and fulfilled, hopefully we'll be launching issue 2 of Ice and Bone later in the year. Fingers crossed.
So for those who already backed the series originally when it was on Kickstarter, is there anything that they'll find in the Red 5 version that would be worth them buying the series for again from Red 5?
Not really. It's the same issue.
Is there anything that sometimes they do like sketches or something like that they could
No,
stack with the first one?
no, it's exactly the same. The the one thing from Kickstarter is I do offer signing the comics as an added add-on. I always do that for all my Kickstarters. So yeah, I am hoping to do a trade cover eventually. If the issues do well with Red 5 comics, they are, waiting to see. I would love to do a trade cover for them, maybe add a few extra pages in, just kind of fill in the blanks where I couldn't before because I was, you kind of have to stay in the 4-page mark. So, 24, 28, 32. Kind of sometimes it hampers you, sometimes it makes it better. So we'll just have to wait and see how Ice and Bone and Blood and Fire does in the shops. So fingers crossed.
So when is Blood and Fire going to hit stands?
I believe soon. It should be May. I think it's May. Yeah, it should be now actually.
Oh,
it should
very
be
cool.
out there now. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. I was excited because I didn't know because I was on a podcast and someone said, "Oh yeah, you're probably on the Preview World." I'm like, "What's that?" And I'm like, hold on. It's like there you are. Like,
you gotta find the preview book and put it up somewhere.
yeah, definitely. It's like, yay.
Well, Aaron, it was an absolute pleasure to talk with you, sir. Thank you so much. And like I said, Blood and Fire looks absolutely fantastic. When I saw that, I thought to myself, I got to contact you and talk about the book.
Excellent. Thanks very much for having me on your show.
So my pleasure. Have a fantastic night, sir.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Versus Stars podcast. Please help me battle the algorithms by liking and subscribing. Be sure to turn for the next episode when Sue Lee boards a mullet ship to discuss Thundercats Shitara from Dynamite Entertainment. Until next voyage, travel on.